Hi, welcome to the Provo City Library Podcast. I'm Erika Hill. I'm the Community Relations Manager.
I'm Carla Gordon. I'm the Library Director.
And we're here with
Joella Bagshaw, the Children's Services Manager.
And we're excited for this episode. You don't know that you need to be excited for this episode, but we're excited for the stories that we have to tell. So in brainstorming podcast ideas, we talk a lot about behind the scenes. And it turns out that we do so many things so well, but sometimes even our best laid plans go askew. And so today we are talking about fiascos. We are talking about programming fiascos, big and small, because sometimes success is amazing, but failure can be funny.
That is true.
So, who wants to go first?
If we're going to go chronologically, mine would be the earliest. So the biggest programming fiasco I was ever a part of was a summer reading program that we had just moved into this building. I don't know if it was the first or second summer we were here, but we had done this program at least once, maybe twice. They'd always had a children's summer read program, but we
didn't. Were you the one who instituted an adult summer?
Teen and adult. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to get that going as well.
Perfect.
That was me, 25 years ago.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, wait. You're ruining my story.
I'm sorry. I'm
so
sorry.
We, at that time, for every book you read, I think, you would put an entry into the drawing to win prizes. And there was a grand prize drawing, and you got as many entries in there as you read the books, something like that. We had all the rules out there that you could only win one of the grand prizes. So once you won one, you wouldn't get another one.
Because it was like all coming from the same.
Yeah, it was all the same, all of these. So people had multiple names in there, and it was fine. We were out on the patio on the south side. I distinctly remember people were sitting on the lawn there, the little natural amphitheater thing, and I started drawing names. Now, in my mind, you should start with small prizes and get to the big prize, because that
builds that
builds.
anticipation.
And
see where this is going.
Yeah, so I gave out some prizes, and then we got to the big prize, which at the time was like a desktop computer.
Oh,
Like this, we're again 25 years ago.
That was big.
It was big. It was some computer store I wish I remembered to give them a shout out, but they had donated, I think, 2 computers. And so we were giving these computers away. It was really great. And so the person that I drew was like, oh, they've already won. And I went to pick someone else's name. And the crowd lost its mind and just booed and yelled like, give them another option. Or like, I hadn't really even thought through that, because I could have said, would you like this prize and give back your other prize? Like but in the moment.
White elephant style.
Yeah, in the moment, I was just like, there's a crowd of people booing me, and I'm just trying to give away prizes. And it was horrible. It was not a fun moment for me. We got through. I don't remember. I think we ended up giving it to them, and they gave back the prize. Like, we did that eventually. I wish my brain had automatically gone there, because then I would have avoided the booing and displeasure of the crowd of people. Like, you don't know what it's like to be disliked by a whole bunch of people until you're disliked by, people don't like me sometimes. I'm not a crowd. Not a crowd of people disliking me. So anyway, we got through that and changed the rules. We would always do the big prize first and then go the other direction. And then they changed it so that the grand prize, there was only one drawing, and then there were separate drawings. So the program has morphed over the years. We learn. I think that's a thing. That is a theme throughout these stories, is we learn things. But that was a very early library experience that will stay with me forever.
Don't boo your librarians.
They're doing the best they can. It's true. It's true. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Well, thanks.
I mean, it's a good one for me to listen to. It probably wasn't good to live.
It's fine. Again, it's funny now.
Yeah.
At the time?
No. But now you know. When
Now
someone
I know.
is like, you don't know what it's like to have
I do.
people booing you. You do.
I do. I know what that feels like. I didn't like it.
No. Well, way to learn your lesson, Carla.
Yeah, seriously. All right.
What about you?
So the one that I thought of off the top of my head, the fairy tea is a big deal in this library.
You may have heard of it.
May have heard something. And there was one fairy tea where I had, for crazy reasons, we had multiple different ballet groups that were performing for different sessions of the tea because not one company could do everything, which is fine. And we figured that out. But the one company that was doing the Friday 5 o'clock session, they are based up in Lehigh, and they didn't think about the fact that Friday at 5 o'clock there's traffic on I-15. And so it was kind of like this panic-inducing moment as I'm, dressed in my queen garb and trying to figure out.
Wait, you were the queen?
You were the queen?
I think I was the queen.
Oh.
This was recently.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh,
It was
okay.
no. It was the year that
Oh.
that Gene was sick,
Okay.
and so he was
Oh.
only there for 2 of the 3 sessions.
Okay.
I mean, 2 of the 5
That
sessions. and I
makes
was,
more sense.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It
I am
seemed like it was a
ruining
few
the
years
momentum
ago.
of your story.
Anyways.
It was a
I
few
just-
years ago, but I was in the queen garb, and I distinctly remember that. It was crazy, and I got this text message as I'm trying to hide from children that says we're not going to make it in time, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? It's fine.
The fairy queen will now recite the monologue from.
Jump up there and do some ballet.
I mean, I coulda, I guess. Anyway, so what ended up happening is after I read the proclamation, my staff were like, what's going on? Because I kept talking. And this is why I was the queen. I knew I was the queen because I was like, and just so you all know, our fairy dancers are stuck in traffic. And we will do the promenade first, which totally, I did give the kitchen staff a little bit of a heads up as to what I was doing as I was promenading in. I was like, hey, kitchen, we're going to do you early, which they scrambled and bless the people that were in the kitchen. They came through for us, which was amazing. Anyway, so we did the promenade first, and then the dancers came, and we had someone who ran up to me in the middle of the promenade and was like, hey, we're all here. And I was like, oh, great, you're going to perform cold, because they hadn't practiced or anything like that after the promenade's done. So after the promenade was done, we got up and said, now we will have the dancers. And then we did it all in the wrong order, and it was fine. But it sure made my heart pound just a little bit because... Yeah, and from there on out, we always we made sure that they were all there for rehearsals at 4 o'clock. So
Because you avoid that traffic. Yeah. I feel like we've all had that panic-inducing moment of like, is this person coming?
yeah, because we coordinate with a lot of different presenters for different library programs.
Yeah. I had a youth theater company that had decided to do 2 performances, but we had advertised one time and they had understood another. And I don't know, I'm just going to say we were right. This is what we talked about, but it actually doesn't matter who's right.
Because in their head it was different.
And you know who's wrong? The person telling a room full of 400 people, I'm so sorry. This performance is not starting for another 30 minutes. That's who's wrong. It doesn't matter what the poster says. It just, I've definitely. So quick thinking on your part.
I mean, it was a fun day.
Yeah. In the end of the day, it all worked out.
You want to share one?
Do I want to share one? I do. I'm trying to think of, I told this story to my assistant earlier today, and I spent way too long telling it. So you're just gonna give me this motion. If this is going too long, just tell me to wrap it up a bit. We had a teen book festival. We used to do teen book festival all the time. We stopped doing it because of money, really.
Yeah, we didn't.
And
I think we didn't get enough people to come to make it worth
to make it
money.
worth the money. We spend that money in other ways for teams.
Bringing authors it's just so expensive for a single day event.
It is. So, but this is when we were still doing that, and I was the main contact person, and there was an author that we had in mind, and we, I'm not going to say his name. I will tell you, it's a male author of teen books, mildly well known at the time. I mean, pretty well known. Yeah. Anyway, we reached out to him and didn't hear back for a while. And then finally we did hear back, and from his assistant. And his assistant was like, sure, if he is going to come, here are the things that he requires. And we went, that is outside of our budget. We're going to have to say no, actually. Thank you for your time. And he said, you know what? Actually, we can make it work. Like, it's fine. He doesn't need a 5-star hotel, because it was like, he must have a 5-star hotel. He must be driven around in a town car. And we're like, that's just not really our vibe. Library in Provo, Utah. Like, I don't see many town cars around. This is before Uber was a big thing. So it was just we can promise a Marriott, which is fine, and the passenger seat in our director's car.
Which is usually fairly clean.
Which is usually clean. So better than mine. Anyway, he said, yeah, okay, sure. So we made the events in October. We made those plans in like June-ish. Okay, we'll reach out closer to the event. So in like August, we reached out and to try and like coordinate flights. Heard nothing. Like weekly, it was this like my weekly to-do list, like contact this person's people, and heard nothing. I had connected with his publicist at the publisher, and I was like, what? And it was listed on his website that he was coming. So I'm like, clearly he's coming, but like, we've got to book a flight. And reached out to the publicist and called, and I was like, what is going on? And she called me, and I knew. You email good news, you call with bad. I was like, hi. And she said, he's not coming. Like, we've ordered t-shirts. We've designed
with his name
merchandise. We've done, there's actually a funny thing about that. We'll come back to that. Oh, okay. A fortuitous happy accident. We've done all these things. We've been advertising this for months. This is like maybe 3 weeks before our event that we finally got that. It was the drop dead date, and we dropped dead. And so, because apparently he'd had an assistant that was
terrible?
Yes.
Okay.
But he had fired. But that assistant was authorized to sign contracts for him, and had apparently not told him that he was under contract for an event. So there are two sort of silver linings in that. So his name I'm not going to say. May have booed in a theater when I saw a trailer for a movie adaptation. It's fine. But these authors, I will say, we reached out to some local teen authors, Valin Mayatani, Courtney Alameda, who may have been working here at the time.
Possibly.
Or shortly.
Yeah.
That's fine. Robinson Wells and Lindsay Levitt. And they came through for us. And they put on an excellent event. And the bookstore quick pivoted and ordered copies of their books so we'd have that to sell. And in a fortuitous misprinting thing, we had this shirt design, and I had asked for a sample because we were worried it was going to be too dark. And they just sent the whole t-shirt order, and I looked at it and I was like, this is too dark. But
it was like dark on dark.
It was like charcoal gray shirt, black print. And they were like, oh yeah, that's our mistake. We'll reprint them. And I said, oh, new design.
We print it with this new thing.
We'll print it with a new thing. So we didn't have to pay for shirts twice, which we would have, or wear. A few of those failed shirts with an event that didn't happen. Yeah, they hang around.
Good.
And
good
everyone's
pajama.
Yeah, I see. I've seen Amber uses it as a workout shirt, and sometimes I'm like, this is a little bit of a Mandela effect thing. Like you're wearing a t-shirt for an event that never happened.
So true.
fine. That's probably
Cool.
my biggest fiasco,
Yeah.
like programming fiasco. The biggest crisis I've ever had at the library was the Pokemon Go thing. We'll talk about that another time. Or
That's
maybe
too
never.
much. That's too much.
Maybe never. Okay.
I always think of, so most of my programming fiasco, and they're not even it's like when nobody shows up. But those aren't really like, there's
Yeah.
enough of those in our lives. We've just always, everybody's done a program when nobody shows up.
Or just one person shows
Or
up.
just
for
one.
story
It's
time.
actually
Which is
more
worse.
awkward.
It's
one
worse.
person is worse.
You
'cause
either
doing
want
it.
like 10 or none.
That's true.
One is awkward.
But the year before, we were going to have this super book sale in the courtyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about that on this
I think we
podcast
have.
before.
We just had a downpour.
Monsoon.
We just had a monsoon during the book sale. People were trying to still look at books, even though there was like all of this rain coming down. Books were wet. We were just like, just take the box. Just go.
Like-
Go. We can't take money anymore. We've shut down the
We've shut down-
registers
yeah.
because electricity
Rain,
and rain.
That was a nice like sign from above that it was time to let those books go.
They were, yeah.
They had been through so many book sales.
They had.
And then, rain.
Yeah.
The people still sifting through as if like this is the time to be
It
picky.
wasn't. It was. Just
It
take
was.
them. Just go. Just go.
Don't
Just
even
go.
pay.
Take
Just
a whole box.
I think if I'm going to pick stories, the pizza
Oh, the pizza.
was one of my favorite stories
You want me to tell
afterwards.
the pizza story. Okay, so in the fall we do a program. Lovingly in my department we call it Big Guy, Little Guy.
Lovingly, historically.
But for most library patrons, we either call it Superhero Academy or Space Academy, depending upon which theme we're going with for that time. But for that program, I mean, it's morphed over time, but at this point, it's a program where kids come and it's we have video screens, so like we're calming into people.
It's like a live interactive
performance where 150 children have to save the library from utter destruction from evil super villains.
Just a normal Saturday.
Normal
And then
day
they
at the
get to do
library.
activities.
And then they get to do activities and obstacle courses and play with Legos and all different kinds of things. But we feed pizza to this event. So we have a slice of pizza and a cookie and a drink. And
So all in, 300 pieces of pizza for 2 sessions, right?
Sure.
150 people.
well, I mean, but we
Yeah,
padded
sure.
a little bit.
It's
yeah.
not an insubstantial amount of pizza.
It's a lot of
is what we're
pizzas.
saying.
It's a lot of pizzas. But we usually got it from one particular store, and they're always so busy and hard to get in and out of. And a different store was like, "Oh yeah, we can make pizza for you." So we ordered pizza, I think the week before, so that we would have enough pizza when we got there, because we only have. And here's the other thing. We want the pizza to be picked up at the last possible minute that it can be picked up so that it's hot when it comes here. I mean, we do have warming ovens, but we want it to be.
We don't advertise like come enjoy activities and cold pizza.
No, we don't. So anyway, we coordinated with this particular place to get pizza at a specific time, and the librarian that went and was going to get the pizza, she showed up, and they
In full costume. This
full-
is the best.
full costume, and they were not there really because it was like, their oven broke, and so they were all just like they didn't open because they didn't have any pizza to sell, and we're like, but we have to get pizza. We ordered pizza, and they'd never called us to tell us, oh, the oven's broken, and they knew from the day before that it was broken. Anyway, so this particular librarian, Caroline is her name, and she ended up going to various pizza places and picking up whatever they had available, and then driving it to the library and taking it to the underground parking, and she would call somebody, and they would go down the elevator and out and take it from her car, and then she would keep
It's
driving
like a pizza heist.
so that she could go to the next pizza place, and she drove around for that whole hour of
Getting
program.
pizza.
I think
getting
I even
programs.
had to go and get pizza.
Yeah, and you got
that
pizza
day.
at some point.
I will say again that we're not shaming any business in particular, but
Yeah.
we will applaud ones who really came in clutch for us.
There was
Like the Little Caesars
in East Bay.
in East Bay.
that
really stepped it up for us.
They were like, oh, this was a problem. This happened. We're so sorry. And they actually double timed, started making pizzas. So as Caroline was going around to all the different pizza places, like she would get 1 or 2 boxes from one place and she would get 5 or 6 from the Little Caesars in East Bay. And it was really great.
They were piping hot.
And then, but because they were coming later, then like when we were splitting to do the activities, one of the activities is eating, and we had to do this announcement. Okay, if you were assigned to eat first, just skip that one and come back.
Come back.
But we did it, and everyone got pizza. And like during the breakout was walking around. Did you get pizza? Did you get pizza? Like everyone got pizza, and all of the patrons were so nice.
It was probably hotter
pizza than normal because
it was. But well, we
lit with the fire of 1,000 librarians' rage,
running
panic.
to get
Just kidding.
And it did make it so that the other staff that were doing the kitchen stuff had to do that double time because they were like running and getting stuff and then having to plate it, and it was a fiasco that
it was
out great.
It's just fine. See, this is the thing. The librarians think on their feet because we have to. Because things. Any event planner, there's a reason why wedding planners are known for having a little emergency belt with all of the things. Like there's, when you're planning an event, when you're doing, like something is going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to be ready. I mean, there's we've had movies where
DVDs
Wi-Fi doesn't, DVD's not working.
Too
like
many people
subtitles.
too many people show up. Subtitles won't go on. I don't want to admit to like doing something slightly illegal, but I'm pretty sure one time we couldn't get the DVD to play, and I like used my Disney Plus subscription, my personal one.
Don't come after her.
Don't come after me. It was just the once. But like
we don't have that many listeners.
We don't have that many. It's true. But like finding ways to do something.
The DVD to use.
I did. We just couldn't. It just wouldn't play. Anyways, because things happen.
Sometimes they're disasters of our own making. Like I had this really good idea. It was such a good idea. We had this winter-themed exhibit.
Oh yeah.
And I looked at all these winter-themed picture books and like what kind of activities do they lend themselves? And the Snowy Day, which is that famous one with the red kid on the cover. You might not think
snowsuit.
Yes. Did I say red kid?
Yes.
He's not red.
Child dressed in red.
He is African American, which is actually kind of significant in that book. Pretty big deal. Great book. But there's passages that talk all about like the sensory feeling of the snow. Like he dragged his feet through the snow and he walked. And I was like, sensory bins, what a great idea. What a great idea to have sensory bins full of the different ways you can interact with snow. So, I'm going to have this snow is like pom-poms that you can kind of fluff. And this is kinetic sand that you can put together.
Wow. It was like, you could see, so with cameras up into the attic, you could just see just
carnage
everywhere.
It was such a mess. And I feel like I'm willing to take more risks with like I'll give kids paint and I'm like, it's fine and clean, we'll wash it up.
The sensory bins disappeared.
They did.
Yeah. But you did knit a really, really great.
I did crochet a very big mitten.
It was a mitten.
That was an impressive part of that.
It was.
And yeah, sometimes like people come through for you, and sometimes you're just left in an attic for 2 hours cleaning up your own messes and questioning your own life. But I couldn't even just vacuum because it was a mix of kinetic sand and like
the pom-poms.
I had to pick up the pom-poms. I had to sweep away the fake snowballs. I had to like comb the cotton batting because I didn't want that, and then had to vacuum. It was fully, and then after all that was said and done, this is taking too long. Maybe it's not that interesting. We had this flocked Christmas tree, and I tried to move it. I was wearing all black.
Oh yeah.
And I tried to move that. So here I am. I am hot. I am sweaty. I am not prepared for having, like, I didn't have the time. So I like come into a meeting and I am covered head to toe. In flocking from this Christmas tree.
It was hilarious.
So this is a fiasco of my own making. Will I do such a thing again? Probably, just not that particular mistake. Will I still take risks with this is a thing that could be messy but could be fun, I probably will, but not to that scale.
Not with kinetic sand.
Okay. Should we tell the one that
last
makes us
story.
look awesome? It makes us look awesome.
It does. I was not a part of
We
this
gotta
one.
go fast though, I
We
bet.
probably, which is my forte.
No.
Okay. A couple years ago, we had a stuffed animal sleepover, like we do
Every
every
year.
year. And there was a slight mix-up at pickup time where some people walked away with some stuffed animals that were not theirs because they thought this was a different program that was happening.
Yeah, they thought it was the program where you come and get a stuffed animal and take it to your house.
Read
and,
to it.
And then read to it and then bring it back the next day.
So, no harm, no foul, except that when the owners, and they picked
The
stuffed
big,
animals.
giant.
They were
They were
large,
beautiful.
which is important for this story.
It is true.
So when the owners of these stuffed animals came to pick them up, they weren't there.
And they were devastated.
They were
I was
devastated.
the one talking to, oh man.
Yeah. That and that's a situation where like someone is mad and
Rightfully
so.
so. And my stomach just like dropped and
like we lost
we lost
these.
6, I think it was.
Was it the same family? I mean, that was picking them up?
No.
Okay.
There were 3
There were
different
some
families.
commonalities in size
Okay.
of what was missing. So were we gonna let that stand? No, we were not.
Well, first I came running up to Erica and was like, this is what happened. I'm just, That's pretty much
And
what
I was like,
happened.
well, we have cameras.
We do.
So let's see what happened. So we looked, and again, size is important because
They were gigantic.
they were gigantic. One was it was a giant Totoro. And it was real easy to see when that thing walked out of the store. And so we see, now that we know what we're looking for, we're like, there's Totoro. Oh, Chewbacca. This other one. This other. Like,
And they were
they're
all together
they're
in
all
one
together.
family.
They're all together in one family.
One family, yeah.
And so we're
like, okay,
seeing
this
that.
family took them.
But our cameras aren't necessarily good enough to like
Our cameras are not
recognize
clear.
like
Yeah.
particular people.
No.
Yeah.
But this is just crazy. They're walking out of the children's department, and a kid is holding a book like this.
And most people hold them like,
But he's
anyway.
Or in a bag or something. but
holding
he's
it.
Holding it.
And we go,
Wait,
can we
zoom in on that?
see what book that is? And I wouldn't recognize more than 90% of what's in the children. But the book that he was holding happened to be The Girl Who Drank the Moon, which was what our library director at the time, he was on the Newbery Committee for that book. So we're very familiar with that cover. I made a tie
Yes, yes.
for him with that cover art. And we said, that's The Girl Who Drank the Moon.
So then I went and looked up in the catalog
Like,
the copies of The Girl Who Drank the Moon. There was only one copy that was checked out that day. And so then I ended up calling this family and just being like, just by chance, did you happen to take home these stuffed animals? And we figured out that it was a miscommunication. They understood the advertisement wrong. And I arranged a time to go pick up said stuffed animals.
back.
Yeah.
So just know, not everything you lose at the library is going to be treated with that level of
No.
yeah.
But I lost
dedication.
some kids' baby favorite stuffed animals.
It's true, but the fact, like, it was
got
like all these
back.
little miracles, all these little things, like the fact that the animal was big enough that you could definitely see the book was placed the right way,
And a
it was
cover we
something
could
that you would
recognize.
recognize, like
Yeah.
It's mostly just a big white moon on the front.
It's true.
Really,
And then we ran to a park on our way from picking him up so that those stuffed animals had extra pictures for as an apology to the families.
yeah. I don't know that they were. Some of them were like, "Oh yeah, that's fun," and some of them were like, "Still not okay." And they're right. It's still not okay. But
they definitely did everything they could to make that right, which is the other thing. It's just like
So-
trying to
yeah.
make things right for people, give them the best experience possible, even when, again, things just
Go wrong and you
Go
have
wrong.
to think on your feet.
think on your feet.
Okay.
Anyways, we're really good at our jobs.
We're so good at our jobs.
But there are moments when we have to
Pivot
pivot.
pivot.
and avoid catastrophe and epic failures.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our fiascos. Do we want to talk very quickly?
Talk very quickly about books.
We're going to talk very quickly about books. We gave ourselves a time limit, and our people have told us we're at that time limit.
That's true.
But we can't help ourselves. We're going to talk about books.
Okay. So I just finished a book called The Girl from Greenwich Street by Lauren Willig, who she wrote the Pink Carnation books. If anyone knows those. And this is a historical fiction. I did last time. Yeah, I did, because they were really good. This is historical fiction about Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, and America's first murder trial. Like it was the very first one, and it was a young girl that was killed, and they thought by her fiance. Anyways, it turned into this whole, like it was really interesting. She's a really good writer. She does history really well. And it's a little part, it was kind of fun to have Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr
together.
Well, they were working together. They're not sure why actually they were working together on this murder trial, but they were, and they really hated each other.
Yeah.
And like at one point, I don't want to ruin anything for anyone, but at one point, Alexander Hamilton's supposed to give the closing speech for the case, and Aaron Burr was going to do the opening one. Aaron Burr was giving the opening one, and Alexander Hamilton had shown his. And Aaron Burr gave the closing statement as the opening statement, just to make that is not true history. That is in this book, but it seemed true to the relationship. Anyways, that's mine. It was good.
I was going to ask, is it historical fiction?
It's historical fiction, because there's a lot not known, but she did a lot of studying, and she always does a lot of history when she does hers. So she's like, I've made it work into this story, and it felt true. And there were reasons why she did that from the historical record, but there's no proof. Like she kind of, that was her interpretation. Yeah. It was kind of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I just finished reading a book called Whale Eyes. It's a nonfiction. It's about, there are people who as babies don't have their, when they're seeing, their brains don't connect the two vision into one vision. And so there's people that like you look at them and one eye will be looking at you and the other eye's like off, and then it will switch. So this eye will look at you and the other one's off. And it's a book about this guy, James Robinson, who wrote it, and how he, was facing all kinds of things growing up because he has these eyes that are unusual, and he decided to start calling them whale eyes because nobody hates whales who can only see out of one eye at a time, but there's discrimination that happens for people. And then he ended up making a New York Times movie that you can Google on YouTube about his life or what it's like, and you can see and be like, oh, that's what it's like. No wonder he can't hit a t-ball as a child. Anyway, a fascinating nonfiction book called Whale Eyes.
Children's nonfiction or?
I read it on Libby. It's probably both, because it starts when he's a child, but then it goes till he's working for the New York Times. So
cool.
It like spans all of the things. But I picked it up because I had seen a starter review about it somewhere in one of the things I've read.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just read The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown, and it's fantastic. It's about a girl who is given what she thinks is a blank notebook, but it turns out it's magical, and it can create, like, any door is every door. And so, like, if she imagines something, then when she opens the door, like Venice, like the when she first uses it, she walks from her apartment, opens her apartment door, and it's Venice outside that she has.
Okay.
And it gets insane. Like, it is so good. It is a ride, because it ends up, I don't want to spoil it, actually. But there's more than just her magical book. There's more magical books, and there's this whole society. And yeah, it is like a crazy ride through space and time. And I loved just like literally every second of it. It was so good. The Book of Doors, Gareth Brown.
Okay.
So there we go. Sometimes your fiascos are hilarious. And thanks for sticking with them, us for all of them. We'll see you next time.